Okay, hello, the land of YouTube. We are now doing Encounter 21 from Beginning Biblical Hebrew. Our book is uh, Learning Biblical Hebrew through Reading for Comprehension by Kutz and Josberger. We're in 21 covering the rare verb stems. So we'll just jump right in. We've already covered the most common verb stems. These are the pa'al, nifal, piel, pual, hifil, hofal, and hitpa'el. We've covered them, I think, pretty intensely. I want to singular, which is the same as the who form, who, him, he. The third feminine singular, that is the he form, she. The first common singular, the I form. And the third masculine plural, the they, hem form. Right? So we're going to use the root kuf tet lamed, which is the root that's often just as an example. This doesn't have, they don't necessarily have meaning in all of these stems. We're just going to use it to look at the shape of it. Okay, so in the pa'al, kuf tet lamed looks like katal in the third masculine singular. Katal. We should know that pretty clearly. Katal, pa'al, they're the same. Okay. Ward, do you have any idea what the nifal would be of this root in the third masculine singular? It's basically just going to follow the pattern exactly. The name of it is how it's going to work in the third masculine singular, because the name comes from that form.
So it'd be kital.
Oh, it's going to have a ni.
Oh, nikital. Niktal.
Niktal. Niktal.
Niktal.
John, what would you make of the PL of this root for third masculine singular?
Kitel.
Kitel, exactly. And the middle radical is doubled for the PL, pual, and hitpa'el.
Oh, right.
Remember that? The dagesh in the middle.
So,
okay, the next one is pual.
Jason, the doubling, I'm sure we covered this. In the pronunciation, should it be, I mean, do you try and double it in the pronunciation or just
It's how it used to be. It is how it used to be. And Arabic still does that. They double the consonants. Hebrew did not retain the doubling in any of the accents. Okay. So the Ashkenazi pronunciation, the Sephardi, the Moroccan, whatever different communities, no community maintained doubling sound for the dagesh. But we should know that it's doubled in our head. So pual is kutal, okay? Kutal with the doubled tet. What about hifil, Ward?
Would be the hay with a I can't remember. Shirik?
Well, just how would you pronounce it then? Just think of the katal instead of pa'al. Okay, but with the kuf.
Oh, hiktil.
Hiktil, yes, hiktil. Okay, so basically we're just looking at the patterns and how the patterns fit onto different stems. We're looking at the strong letters right now, the letters that don't drop out. What about hofal, John? What would you say? Hofal.
Presumably hoktal.
Hoktal. Hoktal. Just like hofal, hoktal. And hitpa'el would be hitkatel. Hitkatel with a doubled tet in the middle. Hitkatel. Okay, that's pretty clear from the names of the binyanim, right? The names of the stems, right? Now we're going to look at what happens when we add the ending for the third feminine singular, because the is going to be the same basic ending for the perfect all the way down. So if we have katal and we add it becomes katla, katla. We remember that the vowel before it likes to reduce. Okay, so katal, katla. Remember that that's a secondary modification. Remember that historically it was katala, katala, and then the accent shifted to the end, and that syllable reduced. So katala, which is in pause, becomes katla in the normal form. All right. So let's try to think nif'al or niktal, how it becomes, how it sounds when you add the ah ending. What would you think? I'm gonna go in this order if that's okay.
Niktala
Mhm.
with a vocal schwa under the.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because exactly the same way that the accent shifts and that reduces. Niktala. Niktala. Okay. What would you think about the PL, John?
Kitla.
Kitla. Beautiful. Perfect. Kitla. Kitla. So the syllable reduces and we add the ah. Okay. Katla, niktala, kitla. All right. I'll take the pual. This is putla. Putla. And so, okay. With the hifil, this is the fun one that doesn't reduce. Okay, the E vowel doesn't reduce before the ah syllable that's added. So what would that be for?
Iktila.
There's no reduction.
I said iktila.
If there's no reduction, right, if there's no reduction, it's because the accent also didn't shift. So it's hiktila.
Iktila.
Yeah, iktila.
Oh, okay. Iktila.
Yeah. So hiktila is the form for the feminine singular. Great. John, what about the next one?
Haktala.
Hok.
Haktola. Assuming the accent doesn't move. Haktala.
No, this one does. Hok.
Hoktala.
Hoktala. That unaccented syllable with that silent shaba right there makes this O. Hok. Of course, this and this could with kubut, the three dots that go diagonally. They can be found in either way. All right, Ward, what would you make of the next one? Hit pa'el with katal. We had hit katel.
Hit katela. Tela.
Beautiful. Hikatla. Hikatla. That's for anachnu. That's us. The ending for I, like I loved.
Oh yeah, katalti.
Okay, great. Okay, katalti, katalti. So the T ending is I, and it's ani. Okay, so we're just going to add that straight down. Anytime you have an A in the syllable, whenever you add the T ending or most of the endings, it becomes ah. Even here, no, this, yeah, this becomes ah. This one becomes ah. They all become ah. Okay, so nifal. Niktal, niktala. How do you add the first common singular ending, John? What do you think?
The niktalti.
Beautiful, niktalti. Niktalti. So if I were a book, I could say nichtavti. I was written, you know, or if I were a song, I was written.
I've forgotten whether
okay.
There's a rule or not. Why, for example, the one we just did, the accent didn't move.
With the third feminine singular, or with the first common?
The first common, we've got the accent stayed on the second syllable.
In most cases, accent in verbs, like they say in Greek, is static. It doesn't shift. The accent in verbs tends to stay where it is. There are only two reasons that it does shift. That's when you add the tem ending because it's The
Oh,
tem
right,
ending
okay.
is heavy, tem and ten. That would shift the X to the end. Okay, so there are three reasons. Number one is that. Number two is the vocalic ending for she and for they. So those ones they go through secondary modification. That's where we lose the vowel in the original syllable that was accented. And the third one is when you add the object suffixes that we're going to get to in the next chapter. Those also tend often to pull the accent to the end, and that will cause some changes in the vocalization. Okay, clear enough?
Yes, thanks.
Fantastic. So now we're back at word for the PL. Kitel, kitla, and now for me.
Kitelti.
Oh, the accent changes to ah. The accented syllable changes to ah.
Kitalti.
Kitalti. Yeah, kitalti. Fantastic. And John, what do you make of the next one? We're going to get through this really quick. This is nice. This is good progress.
Kutalti.
Kutalti. Beautiful. Next one.
Hiktilti.
Ooh, this one, the regular endings that are not vocal, that is not the ah or the oo, they like to shorten that syllable and it becomes ah also.
Hiktalti.
Hiktalti.
Is the shirek there with the yod? That's indicative of a hifil, right?
In the beginning?
No.
Oh, in this one here.
That one.
That one is for the third feminine singular and also for the third masculine plural. When they have the vocalic endings, that stays where it is. It remains where it is. It also remains in the participle. The akil and the imperfect. Okay. The only change in the imperfect is going to be the third feminine singular, the third feminine plural, and second feminine plural, where it's like tiktelna, because it's a e, it shifts to f for those the na ending. Oops, revealing. Okay, so John, we're back at the hofal. You get the hofal. That's fun for you.
Okay. Hoktalti.
Hoktalti, beautiful. And the heat pile back for a word.
Heat katalti.
Beautiful. Okay. The next one is the kal for the third person. Remember, you had the vocalic ending, the oo. So it's katlu. It has that secondary modification again, where it was katalu, and the accent shifted and the vowel reduced. Katlu from katalu. Okay. What about the nifal? Let's see. John, word, John, word, John. We're going to take word back for this one if you don't mind, because I want word to have one of the hofal.
Okay. Am I doing this one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Niktalu.
Yeah, great. Niktalu. This is kind of a cheating column because you can look at what happened with the third and just change the a to u. So it's a cheating column.
Oh, okay.
Because it's the vocalic ending. They behave the same way. So katla, katlu, niktila, niktilu. Okay, so we would look at this one. We'd add the u. What is this one, John?
Kitlu.
Mm-hmm. Kitlu. Mm-hmm. Great. And word, the next one?
Kutlu.
Kutlu. Mm-hmm. You feel for you, John?
Then
You got it.
Hiktali.
Oh, it's a u ending.
Hiktalu.
Iktilu. 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 Great.
Right.
And now the whole for word.
Haktalu.
Oh, that first syllable.
Hoktalu. Hoktalu.
Oktalu. Mm-hmm. Great. And the last one, the hit by L, back for John.
So I've got the one with the mouth full.
Yeah, it's a big long word.
Hitkatlu. Hitkatlu.
Yes, hitkatlu. Wow, you see how much you guys have learned. Woo! Good job. That makes me happy. I'm proud about that. All right, so we're going. I was telling John before we started the recording, we started actually going through this, that I remember my first year doing Hebrew grammar, and by the end of it, I just wanted to pull my hair out. I really hated it, and I thought that I knew nothing. And I have a feeling that you might get to the point where you're starting to feel, wow, it's a lot of information. You're covering so much in this grammar book. Really, the grammar just has to throw everything at you so that when we get into Ruth and we get into Jonah, and then after this course, you'll be able to recognize things from the text to the point that you're able to read it or make sense of it when you look in a dictionary, and then you start to commit the text to memory, and the text starts to become part of you. And then only at that point does the grammar say, oh, we're friends. Like I hated Hebrew grammar, and you're going to be fine. What you just did, that's a humongous feat, and I'm very proud of you. Very good job. All right, so we're going to look at some less common verbal stems, verb stems. So the most important one is the word ishtachava. Ishtachava means he bowed down, like bowed down to the ground, right? It could also mean to worship. For a long time, when people have been reading Hebrew for millennia, but when they were trying to classify words according to their root, some of the most important lexicographers were like Gesenius, and then later on you had Brown, Driver, and Briggs that put together their dictionary. In these early Hebrew dictionaries, they didn't know how to classify this word, so they assumed that it was from the root shacha, okay, shacha or shachu, whichever, something like that. It's a weak vowel at the end, and that you attached hit to it, and it had metathesis. Where the taf and the sheen changed places, like we looked at the hit pile forms before. So it was shachu with hit, and hishtachu, which became hishtachava. And that's what they assumed. Only through the study of Ugaritic, another Semitic language from ages ago, did they realize that there is an entire other verb stem that exists in Ugaritic and only has this one word in Hebrew. Of the word they now know is chavu or chava, and that it's hishta is added to the root as part of the verbal stem. So ishtachavu is they bowed down. Ve is he bowed down. I want to look at just the form of it real quick. This is the perfect. Ishtachava, he bowed down. Ishtachavu, they bowed down. Okay. The imperfect, we're going to find this mostly in the third person because most of the Bible is narrative, and it says they bowed down to him and he bowed down to them, whatever. Yishtachave, the is category. What's the word? Characteristic of the imperfect with third hey verbs. Yishtachave, and the plural yishtachavu. Okay. When we have third hey like this, it's got a hey at the end and whatever. It tends to drop out when it goes to vav consecutive. So yishtachave, the e drops off, and you have the vav that's left there without a vowel. And what happens is that vav becomes u, just to resolve itself. You can't have a v or a w just sitting on the end of a word, so it resolves itself as u. The accent shifts, and this becomes like the focus of the word. Vaishtachu. Vaishtachu. This means he bowed down in the narrative past, the vav consecutive. Vaishtachu. And the plural looks exactly like the imperfect. Vaishtachavu. Vaishtachavu. They bowed down. So I want to look at a couple verses that use this word, just so that we see what's going on with it. The first one, we don't need to translate them like an exercise. We'll do exercises in a minute. I'll just read it to you. So it says, Vayovo'u shnei amalachim, Sodoma ba'erev, velot yoshev b'shar Sodom, vayar Lot, vayakom likratam, vayishtachu apayim arza. Vayishtachu, he bowed down. This is, there were two angels that came to Sodom in the evening. Okay, the two angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. He was sitting in the city gate, and Lot saw, that is, it means he saw them, and he got up to meet them. He went out towards them, and he bowed down with his face to the ground. Okay, so Vayishtachu. John, would you pronounce that word for me? I want to get it across to you. So this word here.
Vayishtachu.
Beautiful.
Oh, well, I guess
Vayishtachu.
I had the accent on the wrong syllable. Vayishtahu.
Word, we want to pronounce it too?
Vayishtahu.
Beautiful. That means he bowed down. It's an important word in the Bible. It can also mean worship. He worshipped. This is not, it's not Lot worshiping the angels. It just means he bowed down. But in other places, it really does mean worship.
Explain.
This verb says, pardon?
Explain that. If I had just looked at this, I would have taken that as third person plural.
Yeah,
because of the
we'll
oo on the end.
Yeah, that vav is actually part of the root. So in the third person plural, it's vayishtachavu, the vu. The reason this becomes u is because it's basically trapped at the end of a word. You see, whenever you have the
Right.
here, if you take off that you have a vav that's just sitting there. This is basically a shva. It's a vocal shva, you know. So shva doesn't count.
So this is part of the problem of being a third hey verb.
Yes.
Okay.
So many times when third hey verbs switch into the vav consecutive, something happens at the end. The hey drops off, and there is some kind of consonant cluster that has to go through resolution. So like if you think you've K, we're going to look at it. We're going to look at it. I'm going to show you in the next slide. Don't worry about it. So Vayamaher Moshe, Moses hurried. Vayikod arza, and he bowed down to the ground. Vayishtachu, and he worshipped. When you have Vayikod arza, this already means bowing down to the ground. Vayikod, this is from the root kuf dalet dalet. Vayikod. This already means bowing down to the ground, so the next one must mean worshiping. You know, he bowed down and worshipped. Vayishtachu. And the next one is Vayelech, he went. You're performing work or service to that God. Vayishtachu lahem, and he bowed down to them. Velashemesh, o layareach, o lechol tzva hashamayim, asher lo tziviti. This is actually a continuation of the previous verse. So the context here isn't so good. It's really a hypothetical. If he should go and serve other gods, whether the sun or the moon or the whole host of heaven, which I have not commanded. Okay, it's from a verse in Deuteronomy that's basically saying that somebody's going to be punished for serving other gods.
Jason,
number 4.
Before we go on at this, I've got myself muddled as to what precisely, and you showed it, but I missed it, the underlying root, because
yeah, it's taf, chet, vav.
Okay.
When you have vav on the end of a word, the third hey roots are not normally third hey, they're actually third vav. So we're going to, like, whenever you classify it for a dictionary purpose, it will normally be chava. That's what you're going to look up. It could be chavi or chava, chavu. Like the last vowel, the last consonant there is actually a vowel, and it's normally expressed with a hey. Normally expressed with a hey. But what we're going to see with third hey verbs is that hey isn't real. It's not real. It's actually it's a vowel letter, and it's going to come out oftentimes as an E sound. We'll see when we look at it. Okay, and the last one, Vayavo Yosef habaita, Vayaviu lo et hamincha asher beyadam habaita, Vayishtachavu lo arza. This is Joseph whenever his brothers came says Joseph went into the house. Okay, he came into the house, and they brought to him the gift which was in their hands into the house. Okay, and they bowed down to him to the ground. Vayishtachavu lo alza. So in our textbook, they replaced the word ishtachava with the word kara, because they said kara berech, bending a knee. Normally, we don't see the word kara, we see ishtachava, meaning bowed down. Okay, so now they're replacing words that they were making easier for you, and now you're getting the real words. So we're going to have a lot less adaptedness in our text. So there is a passage imported from other languages and sometimes reduplicated roots. An example in modern Hebrew, there are lots of examples. For example, delek. Delek means gasoline, petrol. And they add a taf to the beginning of it to make it into a verb, and they say tidlek, tidlek. Tidlek looks like a PL, but it's, instead of having the doubled root, it has a separate root. So the root is, it's delek. Delek means root, it means gasoline. Then you put taf on front of it, and it's tidlek. And it's just like a PL, but instead of having a doubled middle consonant, it has two consonants. It functions like a PL, and so in all of the forms, it's going to look like a PL. It's going to say tidlakti. I filled up the tank. I put gas in the car. Tidlakti. Atadlek. Atadlek. I will fill up. I will put gasoline in the car. Atadlek. I know it's a modern example, but it's a good one. Another one would be the verb for to telephone, to call someone, to telephone them, because telephone has four consonants. Telephone, four consonants. They turned it into a PL, like a PL form. Doesn't matter. We're going to look at some specific roots. Okay, so here are some examples. We call these stems polel, polal, and hit polel because they use the lamed of the root and they double it. That is the third consonant is doubled. So the root is kum in this word, kum, to arise, lakum. They take the lamed vowel, the lamed consonant, and they double it. So komem. If to lakum means to arise or get up, lekomem means to raise up. Okay, it would be formed in the past tense, komamti, komamti. I raised him, I raised up, like I raised someone up. Komamti. The passive isn't used as much as the active, but it's possible. And hit komem is the hit pael from hit komem. It means rose up or rebelled against someone. And we call it the hit polel. That's the stem that we call it. Another one already has a geminated root, and like savav. And so the kal is sabot. I turned aside. Savavu, they turned aside. That's an odd form, saboti. We are not going to cover it, I think, in this class. We might, I don't know. I haven't looked that far ahead. But it means like turned aside. You're normally going to see it in the verb consecutive instead of this. So the verb consecutive is going to be like va'esov, like I turned aside. It's not going to show up like this, saboti. Anyway, so that becomes sovev in the polal or polel stem. Sovev means to turn something, like you turn it. You turn a door handle, you turn a dreidel, you turn something, or to spin it, to make it like, go around. And sovav is going to be the same, but it's the passive. And histovev, this is used a lot in modern Hebrew. Tistovev means to turn around. Like I look here, say tistovevelai, turn around to me, turn around, tistovev. Or it can mean like even to go around, like you're in the city and you go around, you walk around in the city. But it means turn around essentially. The pilpel, polpal, and hitpalpel, what a mouthful. Sometimes it's basically the entire root is kind of doubled. If you think of this as kol and you drop that O, then you've got kaf lamed, and this entire thing can be doubled. So you can say kilkel, kilkel, he provided. Okay, kilkel, kolkal, it was provided. Kilkel, this root, once you've got this stem, kilkel, we turned it into a different word in Hebrew. In modern Hebrew, kalkala means economy. Like, if lekalkel is to provide, then kalkala is the provision of the economy. It's how money comes and goes. These are the two biggest like rare stems that you kind of just have to be aware of. One of them has the O inserted in there. You need to be aware. Komem, hit komem, and the other one has the complete duplication, lechalkel. Okay. Not really something you have to just be aware that they exist. So the kal passive is another one that is pointed out in the book that really you only need to know for the word lakach. Lakach is, it appears a few times in the kal passive, which nowadays we say that the kal takes its passive in the nif'al. And that's also true of the word lakach. You can say nilkach. Nilkach is, it was taken. But also you have lukach. That's kind of like theoretically. But to hold the short vowel, they doubled that middle letter, and it looks now just like the pu'al. Looks exactly like the pu'al. So, so try reading this verse. We're gonna read this and try to understand what it says. Okay. Let's see. Who wants to read? Who feels like reading real quick? This is from Exodus, where Moses went to the burning bush.
Vayar, vahine, hasine.
Sneh. Sneh is the bush. Okay, that's the bush.
Bu'er.
What was the bush doing? What is this word? What do you think the bush was doing?
Hasine bu'er, burning.
Burning.
So that's a participle, burning.
Yes, and that is kal. Okay, it's a kal participle, bo'er. Just so you know, bo'er kal because it's what's happening to it. But if you want to burn something, you use bi'er, the pl, if you want to burn it. But it's burning on its own, but you burn it is pl.
Ba'es.
What's ish?
Oh, ish, yeah. Ba'esh.
What is ish?
Ish is ash, fire, with fire.
Yeah, so he saw and behold the bush burning in fire. Okay. What do we got here?
Ahasne, the bush. Enevnu.
Enenu. Enenu is ein. You know the word ein means not. Ein. And when it tends to negate, it negates a participle. And the new ending means him or it. It's talking about the snake.
Yeah.
It's not.
Uhal. And so that would be the fowl of eaten. So it was not consumed.
That's what you would think. Yeah, you would think. You would look at it and you say, it looks like pu'al to me. It was eaten. But there is no PL form of le'echol, to eat. There is no PL form. If there is no PL, there can be no pu'al. Because the pu'al is passive of the PL, it depends on it. So if there is no PL of le'echol, then we have a problem. First of all, question: how do we know that this is pa'al passive participle and not a pu'al finite verb in the perfect?
I suppose we would go to the lexicon, find out the PL doesn't exist.
That would be one thing. Hi, Hoshea, by the way. Welcome.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right. One thing is that en does not negate the perfect, right? You say lo. Lo achal. He didn't eat. En negates. First of all, it negates verbless sentences, so it could be an adjective. Okay. But second of all, the most common negation that it is for participles. So enenu olech, he is not going. Enenu ochel, he's not eating. Okay, but ukal can't be a pu'al participle. So that triggers something in your brain. It be that's a problem. It's a problem. So it makes you look for another place, another explanation. And the explanation would be that at one point, the kal had a passive participle and passive perfect that looked like the pu'al perfect. So eneno ukal, it is not being consumed or being eaten. Fire eats things in Hebrew. So when you set a city on fire, the fire eats the city, that it consumes the city. So that's what's going on here. This is a pa'al passive. These are very, very, very rare, mostly with the word lukach, meaning we're going to look at an example very quickly. I think, yes, Isaiah chapter 9, where it says, for unto us a child is born. If I remember correctly, it's Yeled Yulad Lanu, and Yulad is not pu'al, but I want to check that real quick. The Yeled Yulad Lanu, I believe that is a pa'al passive. I'm going to just look at it really fast. I'm just checking Machon Mamre. Hoshea, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good.
Everything's all right? Did you have time to read the chapter?
Chapter, I got to listen and read. Genesis 50, are we talking about Genesis 50?
No, talking about the chapter in the book. Yeah. Okay, it does. It has Yeled Yulad Lanu, and that's also a kal passive right there. For a child was born to us. Normally, we would say nolad. It would be nifal, nolad. But in this case, it's kal passive.
Jason, what verse was that? Isaiah something?
Isaiah 9:5. Ki yeled yulad lanu, ben nitan lanu, vati mish. Isaiah chapter 9, verse 5.
Thank you.
So anyway, like I said, the most common verb that is the root is going to be used with is lakach. So the first example in the Bible is from Adam and Eve, where Eve was taken from man, and this is what the verse reads. John, do you want to read that one for us?
Ki meish lukach zot.
Yeah. Well, normally you would see that middle radical doubled with dagesh, but this is skinim levi. Remember that when it has a vocal shuvah, it will often drop the dagesh. So ki meish lukhazot means from man, this one was taken. Talking about Eve. That's the most common way that we're going to find the pal passive or the kal passive. Okay. All right, we have covered what we needed to cover as far as the rare stem. So I just want to go into a little bit of parsing practice before we get into translation. So for each of these slides, I prepared only one verbal root, and it will appear in whatever stems it happens to appear in the Bible. And I've pulled a couple of verses to demonstrate how they look. But essentially, this first word here is from the root kala, which has to do with completion. Okay, so tachlit is like ending. There's a lot of words that go with it, but kala, when we see like in Genesis chapter 2, and so the heavens and earth were completed with all their hosts. Remember, that's this vayichulu hashamayim va'aretz v'chol tzva'am. So this is completed or finished or ended. It can. We'll also look at a different way that it's used when it's in the kal. We'll look at something on here. Okay, so the first one, kila. By the way, I put 206 here just to tell us that this verb in whatever stems it appears in appears 206 times in the Bible. Just wanted to let you know how frequent it is. So kila. I would break it down, but I want to see maybe if Hosea. These are third hey, by the way, so they're going to behave a little strangely. But you can identify this, I think, by stem, conjugation, person, gender, number, root, and gloss, maybe.
Yeah. Is that a D stem, one of the three that has doubling?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
How do you identify that?
Because of the dagesh in the second root. Now, so I'm thinking of PL. PL form.
Because pual would have a characteristic first syllable, right? There's no hit. There's no hit prefix, so it's not hit by L. PL is left, yeah.
Yeah, PL is left, and then but I cannot explain why it's instead of ano. But
it's in the perfect. In perfect, third hey verbs take but in the imperfect they take eh.
Okay, so stem conjugation perfect because I don't see any suffixes or prefixes. Perfect, no prefix. PGN. Third masculine singular.
Yes.
Okay, no. Root kala.
Okay, the root is up there. Kala.
Yeah, to finish.
Yeah, he finished, right?
He finished. So, 3ms.
So in the PL, this root is going to be like you finished doing something or you finished an action. Okay. In the kal, it's going to be something was finished. Okay, so this is not kal, but down here, this is kal, and this one is kal that we're going to look at. So this is like something was finished. Also, the pual would be something was finished. Okay, but he finished it is in the PL. All right, John, what do you get of the second one right there?
Possibly the PL.
Yes. What would indicate that to you?
Well, the lamed is doubled.
Yep.
And something has happened to under the yod at the beginning.
Okay.
So
in the PL, the imperfect is going to have a reduced first syllable, right? I think it's the only one. So that's a reduced first syllable. That's what you're saying in the imperfect, right?
PL, imperfect, and that looks like third person masculine singular.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And then the same root as before, and it would be he will complete or finish.
Yeah, he will finish. He will complete. Beautiful. Perfect. Ward, what do you make of this one? This I gave you the tricky one. Remember, the vav consecutive has a few tricks of it, like it drops the s syllable, drops the hey. So what would you make of that? Let me take you off mute, or I asked you to unmute. How about that?
There you go. Sorry.
Mhm.
I would say that's probably call.
Why do you think it's kal?
Well, because I don't have a doubling in the second consonant,
Okay.
and I don't see an ending, but I do see a preformative. So I'd say it's call of consecutive, third masculine singular, and he
So
finished.
let's think if the first syllable, if it were kal, remember that first syllable, the imperfect has that reduced syllable only in the PL. The reduced syllable is only in the PL. And the pual, of course, because it's connected to it. So this is an indication that we're actually looking at a PL. Okay, so it's kind of a weird one. I want to show you what's going on here. Otherwise, you're right that it's third masculine singular, and it's narrative past. It's the verb consecutive conjunction. It's the verb consecutive with an imperfect. The root is the same. The gloss is, and he completed. He finished. I want to show.
That's still PL.
It is PL.
We lost
So
our doubling.
And we lost that hey on the end. So let's think if you've got yichale. Okay, you've got yechale. Can you see that? Maybe I'll make it a bit bigger. Yichale means he will complete in the future. When you do verb consecutive, hold on, let me make it so the line doesn't have that issue. Okay, so when you do verb consecutive, you attach va with dagesh, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but what happens with yod or with mem, with skinim letters that have a vocal shva underneath them? They tend almost always to lose dagesh. So even though we are supposed to write it, it's lost because skinim levi. Remember that rule of skinim levi? Okay, and so the second change that happens is that you lose the s syllable. Can you have a doubled lamed at the end of a word once we've lost that s syllable?
Nope.
Right. So we just lose the dagesh, and there you have vayichal. That's exactly the form. So yichale, that's PL, goes through very easy steps to become vayichal. And so this is PL. Okay, so let's go back to the presentation, and I have a verse that has this. Okay, so the verse is here. John, do you want to read this one for us?
Vayakal Elohim Bayom Hashbi Melakto
Yep.
Asher Asah.
Beautiful. So Vayichal has the object here. Okay, so it's, and he completed, God completed. Which he had done, or he was doing. Okay, so God completed on the seventh day the work that he was doing. There we have Vayichal, and he completed. So you can see that this is PL now, right? Everybody's good with that? Basically, it's lost the dagesh because it's at the end of the word. All right. So I think we're back to Hosea for this one.
Yeah. Vekilah.
That's kaf, so it's
Vechila.
vechila.
Vechila. Okay. So again, there's doubling. I think it's PL, but narrative vav. No, narrative future. Do I say that way?
We could say basically it's probably what we'd call an irreal construction.
Irreal.
Meaning that it's probably we're talking in the narrative past, and it gives us something like something that would happen that should happen. It's some kind of subjunctive mostly.
So,
but yeah, it's the verb consecutive creates that feeling of an alternative mood that's not the indicative.
But how do we call this in our
In our text, I think it would probably be a verb consecutive with a perfect.
Verb consecutive with a perfect. Okay. So
Yeah.
sorry.
In Cook and Holmsted's grammar, they would call it an irreal, like
irreal.
Verb consecutive with irreal perfect.
So stem is PL. Conjugation 3MS.
Well, the conjugation is the verb consecutive with perfect. Right?
So yeah.
3MS.
PGN is 3MS. And then root is kala, once again. Clause, will, should, complete. He will or he should complete.
Exactly. And it could be that he should or and he should. It really depends on the construction. Okay, so here's a verse. Ooh, that's a big long one. Jose, you've not been here for most of the lesson, so why don't you read this?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Vakamu Sheva.
That's a ka.
Kamu. Sheva Shenei Ra'av Acharehen Venishkak Kol Hashava.
That is a scene.
Saba. Has-saba. Has-saba.
Sava is the plentiness. We're talking, this is the Joseph interpreting Pharaoh's vision, his dream. So it's the 7 years will come after that, and all of that plenty, all of that abundance will be forgotten.
Be'eretz Mitzrayim Ve'chila Hara'av et haaretz.
Okay, so now we see chila in a negative. And will be forgotten. Nishkach is nif'al, but it's with the verb consecutive, it's the future. Will be forgotten all the abundance, all of the plenty in the land of Egypt. And it will destroy, it will finish. When you finish something in a bad way, it means you destroy it. So the famine will destroy it will destroy the land, or it will lay waste the land. It will do something bad that will take all of the money and the wealth out of the land. Okay? And so this is another way that the word kila is used. If it's used in a bad way, it means to destroy. Think of it like, an example is from the New Testament. It says that Jesus appeared that he might destroy the work of the evil one. And the word destroy meant render useless, right? In this case, it means to destroy, like to bring to its completion, and it'll take it totally out. He's going to take out all the sava from the land, all of the plenty. Okay, next we have, what is this one? John, what do you make of that one?
Kulu, it looks like a pual.
Yes. And the indications are?
The kibbutz under the first letter.
Yeah.
And then the dagash in the middle letter.
Great. So I see that you guys have all understood that the PL, Pual, and the Hitpael have that doubled middle root, and that's like the essence of the stems. It's really good that you've got that. Great. So you said it's Pual.
And it's probably perfect.
Yes, it is perfect.
Third person plural.
Masculine or feminine?
Common.
Common, good. You didn't fall for that. Very good.
The same root as all the others. And Now the pual. Forgot what they.
So if the PL means he completed it, then the pual would be it was completed. So in this case, they were completed.
They were completed, finished.
Right. If we wanted to make this into an imperfect, we could add a yud on there and say yichulu, with the dagesh here drops out because it's this is just because beged kefet. Yichulu would mean it or they will be completed. Yichulu. And that brings us to the next form.
Jason,
Ward. Yep.
I'm going to have to depart, but as I said in one of my messages, I'll be back in 4 weeks.
All right. Enjoy your time away.
Thank you. And
we'll see when you come back.
Hope everybody stays healthy.
Okay. Thank you so much for your participation today. You guys you astound me. I'm very, very happy.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
See you, John.
Okay, bye.
See you around, sir.
So Ward, we're back to you for this one.
Vayikulu.
Okay, this
And
consonant
so-
there is soft.
Vayikhalu.
Vayichulu. Vayichulu.
Hulu. Vayikulu.
Yep.
And as you pointed out just a second ago, that's probably the imperfect form, the vav consecutive imperfect
Yes.
of the PL. Pual. Pual.
Pual. And it would mean?
And they were finished.
Yep, they were finished. Okay, this comes into a very important verse that we have, Genesis chapter 2, verse 1. I already brought it up a minute ago. Vayechulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzva'am. And the heavens and the earth were completed, and all of their array, all of their host. Okay? Vayechulu hashamayim v'haaretz. This is, we read this every week during Shabbat, whenever we sit at the Shabbat table and we start to like pray and eat together. We say, Vayechulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzva'am. That's the beginning of the evening on Friday. All right, great. So we made it through the PL and Pual of this. Now let's look quickly at the Kal. This is what happens with Kal. Tichle. Tichle would also mean become finished or come to completion. It's very similar to the Pual in meaning. Tichle, where you've got that e ending. Okay, so what happens with the next form? I want to look on the...
Could that one be you or he or she?
Yes, you or she.
Okay.
Right, exactly. It's because the forms for three English, hello. So for 3FS and 2MS, they're the same in the imperfect. Okay, so tichle. We've got tichle. Okay. When we do vav consecutive, it's va with the dagesh. The dagesh is already present. We don't need to worry about it. But it is a different type of dagesh. Now it's doubled. Okay. Before it was there only because of the vav consecutive, because of the beged kefet letter. So for the vav consecutive, as with the Joseph, we're going to drop that e off of there, and now we have vatichol. Vatichol. We don't like that. So what we do is instead of the chol, we put an actual vowel there. Now we've got vatichel. Okay, we're going to leave that accent there. But the vowel shifts from I to A. Vatechel. Vatechel means it's the same meaning, but it's in the past. Okay, so it's it was completed. Like if you have work was done, but the work was completed on such and such a day. Vatechel. Okay, because work is feminine. Ha'avodah. Vatechel ha'avodah means the work was completed. Like if you're thinking about the building of the temple, Vatechel ha'avodah. Kind of a not so common form, but just be aware that that's where it comes from. We're going to look now on the next slide at the word bacha, which means he cried, he wept, or he mourned. It can also be mourning for someone. In the imperfect, in the imperfect, we're going to have yiv ke. Yiv ke. Yiv ke, he will cry. This dagesh is just beged kefet because it's after a silent Shabbat. Okay, so let's think real quick about what will happen when we add va yi. That is the Vav consecutive. Does the hey at the end of the word stand or does it fall off?
It drops.
It drops. Okay, the kaf. Is it going to stay hard or soft?
Oh.
Soft.
This one is actually special. It stays hard and it becomes like this. And the vowel lengthens like we saw a minute ago, and we have vayevk.
Vayevk.
Okay, we see this a few times in the story of Joseph, where his brothers came to him, and the first time without them seeing, it says, and he cried, or and he wept, vayevk. And then later on, when he revealed himself to them, vayevk, and he cried on their necks. And then later on, when his father died in Egypt, it also says vayevk. He cried. If you think also tivke means you will cry or she will cry, okay? And you want that vav consecutive. Vativke, we drop the thing at the end. It's exactly the same situation where that vowel lengthens and you have vatevk. Vatevk, and she cried, and you cried, singular. Okay? Vatev. An interesting way of looking at it, I try to explain the changes that happen vocalically in a visual way so you can see what happens. But that's basically what we're going to look at on the next slide. So I'm going to switch back over to the PowerPoint. There we go. And we're going to look at the forms of bacha. Bacha meaning he cried. Okay, so bacha is the kal. The forms of bacha are only going to be in the kal. That's very easy, right? There's no passive. There's no, because how do you was cried? You can't say that, right? So it's all going to be kal. It's all going to be different conjugations and from there. So bacha is kal, and it is perfect, and it's third masculine singular. The root is bet kaf hey bacha, and it means he cried or he wept. Okay, Jose, what do you make of the next one?
Yivke. Stem is doubling here.
Oh, it's not doubled.
It's not doubled.
That's
yeah, the
beged
sound.
kefet.
Yeah, it's kal. No, conjugation imperfect.
What's the indication that it's imperfect?
The prefix conjugation. It's a prefix conjugation.
Good.
PGN, you have here third masculine singular.
Great.
Okay.
If it were plural, what would you see instead? Instead of yivke, what would you say for plural?
You have at the end.
Yivku.
Yivku.
Okay. The third hey likes to drop off of at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to see that a lot. So yivku would be they will cry, but yivke, great. The next one, we might have to look at this one again on Word to go over how we get to this form. Ward, what do you think of that?
Bakta. Well, call, I would say perfect.
Yep.
Third feminine singular.
Yep.
She cried.
Yep, she cried. Great. Do you want to look at it on Word real quick just to see the change that goes through?
Okay. Yeah.
So we've got bacha. Bacha, he cried. Okay, bacha. Let's compare it with another word like shamal. Okay, because shamal we're more familiar with. First of all, we see that the vowel, the second vowel is long because the hey calls for a long vowel. Okay, also aleph. If this were aleph, then we would have a long vowel there. Okay, like bara. Bara, he created, takes a long vowel in the second syllable, whereas the normal strong verb will take the patach, short. Okay, all right. So with shamal, to get the feminine, we add. Remember, we had shamara, like this.
Yeah.
And that through secondary modification, the accent shifts to the end. Okay, the accent shifts, and this one reduces. So we have shamra, shamra. Okay, shamra. So the thing that happens with bacha, is that we're going to have that same. Okay, and we add the ah on the end. But when we have that ah right there, it doesn't like to stay on the hey. It switches to taf. Okay, and then we have that same shifting of the accent, and bachta becomes our form. We don't need dagesh here because this is a vocal shva after the meteg. Bachta, bachta. Okay, does that make sense? If it were bara, and we want that feminine form, we've got bar'a, bar'a. She created. So bachta, shamra, bar'a. That's what we have going on there. Clear enough?
Yep.
My Spanish professor used to say, como el lodo, or no, what was it? Basically, she said, como el, I thought it was lodo, como el lodo, como el agua. Like, is it clear as mud or clear as water?
Yo comprendo uno poquito.
So bachta, they did put the shva there, like the dagesh. I don't know that that's right. Let me check. I may have typed that out myself and made the mistake. It shouldn't have dagesh, I don't think. Hold on. Let me just. I just, I want to teach you right, so let me check. Would you know that bachta is not in the Bible? I don't think it's supposed to have the dagesh there. Bacheta. It doesn't make sense that there would be dagesh. Okay. We went over vayevka already. We looked at how the hay drops at the end. The hay drops. Vayevk, and he cried and he wept. And we also looked at vatev, which means and she wept. Many times the difference between the masculine and feminine in the Vav consecutive is going to be the difference between yod and taf. This yod should have a dagesh in it. Sorry. I'm making a lot of mistakes. Let me fix these real quick if I'm going to be here. Hold on. I'm going to fix these so that at least they will show up correctly on the YouTube video. Hold on. Okay, got that one. Got that one. I'm coming back into it. Sorry about my mistakes. I'm not perfect either. So here we go. All right. So bachta. Okay, bachta, and then we have vatev and vayev. Okay, he cried, she cried. All right, so what we had before with the Vav consecutive and perfect, this is going to be an irreal perfect, uvacha, and he would cry, or that he should cry. Okay, it's irreal, not real. Okay, what do we have here? Ward.
Yivku. We said these are all PL, call. So this would look imperfect to me.
Yep.
And it would look third masculine singular.
Yes.
They cried.
They will cry.
They will cry.
Imperfect. Okay. And Hosea, what's going on here?
Vayivku. Okay, so that is stem akal. Conjugation, we still have verb perfect.
Verb consecutive with
perfect.
Imperfect.
Okay. Imperfect.
It was
yeah.
imperfect.
Imperfect. So
Okay.
narrative past. PGN,
Narrative past, yes.
we have third person,
Mm-hmm.
common plural.
Common plural, yes.
Root is baka.
Actually, it's masculine specifically. You will see it used for feminine sometimes, but
Yeah.
masculine specifically because the imperfect has a separate form for the feminine.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, the imperfects have separate forms. Okay. And
So
then
the feminine would be vatavkena.
Mm.
Vatavkena. They cried. But we've got vayibku,
and they cried.
and they cried. Beautiful.
Wept and they wept.
Okay, so bahu is just like bacha, but it's the u ending. They cried. Normal, perfect. It would probably be after asher or hine or one of the what do we call it? A discourse marker, like a subordinator of some kind. Okay, now let's look real quick. See, we've got bacha, he cried. I would say I said we'd look at how the hey behaves differently. So look here. We've already seen that it turns into taf when we add a feminine ending, bachta. Okay, bachta. Now look what happens when we add a regular ending. Bacha becomes bachinu. This is an indication that the hey is not really part of the root. The root ends either in a vav or a yod. It's the vowel letter, bachinu. So probably you would look this up in the Hebrew Language Academy's website. You would look this up by bet kaf yod. That's what you'd search for because that's the root. So bachinu means we cried. I want to give you all the forms real quick. So we'll go back to Word real quick. I'll give you all the forms. So bacha, you know, he cried. I don't need to add vowels, I think. Bachta, she cried. Right? We're going to do it the old way. So bachita, okay, this is how it works. Bachita, bachita, you cried. You see that the hey that's present here disappears in the other forms. Bachita, and for a woman, when I speak to a woman, I will say, you cried. Bachit. Bachit. And then I is bachiti. Bachiti, I cried. Okay, not like that, like this. Bachiti. So in the plural, bachu. We don't need, there's no feminine form because it's common. Bechitem and bechiten. Okay, those forms are the same, right? So come on. The first syllable reduces. Bechitem. Bechiten. And then the we form is also common. So ba-chi. Nu. Make sense?
Yeah.
This happens with all third hey verbs that don't have mapik. What I mean by mapik, see, bacha is he cried. I'm just going to fill these in real quick. Okay, bachta. In certain words, like you could say gava. That's the commonly used one, gava. You see a dot in the hey. Gava. This hey means that this is mapik. Means that this hey is really a part of the root. This is a real third hey root. This is gava. It's not yod, it's not vav, it's for sure hey. So the forms are going to be different. So maybe I'll just get rid of all the, no, I want to keep them so you can see. Okay, so gava becomes for you, gavata. Okay, gava. Nope, gavata. And of course, this is
Gavat.
Gavat. I, like me, gavati. Oh, come on. So gavati. This is a real root. It's a real root letter, the hey. You see the difference? And it doesn't drop out. When it's third hey and it doesn't have dagesh, it means that it's really third yod. And so it will drop out of all of the forms except for the he form. If it has the dagesh, which is actually called mapik, if it has that dot in it, it means that it's consistent in all of the forms. It doesn't disappear because it's a consonant. It's not a vowel letter. So gav, hu, gav, just like regular, gav, hu. That hey stays there. See it?
Yeah, I had read about the mapik where they said it's a real hey, and I really didn't know what that meant.
Mm-hmm.
But now
well,
I do.
Now you
now
can
I
see.
do.
Brilliant. So gvatem and gvaten. Okay, and then in the end,
No.
this is gavanu. Okay, so ga, I need the accent here. Gavanu. Oops. Okay, what is that not going there? End. Why is it doing that? That's weird. There we go. Okay, so you can compare through them and you see that if it's mapik, it doesn't drop out, but if it's not, then it drops out. It drops out in all forms except for the 3ms. And actually 3ms, it's not really there. Theoretically, it was like this, whenever the vowels settled, and it just didn't like bahai, so it just shifted to ah. It really was a yod and it shifted. Okay, that's the way of going on. This is something we're not going to cover for a couple more chapters because right now we're just we're going to look at this more in depth in the week roots. But like I said, the third hey is my favorite of the week roots, so I like to play with it a lot. Sentence translations from Genesis 50. I think we've gone over several of these already.
Would you do
Yep.
one thing for me? Is we've been going through that cry. Give me the imperative cry.
Okay, so if the future is tivke, like yivke, yivke, you just drop the prefix and you've got beche.
Hey, and be it. Okay.
Beche. But it's not going to be something you ever read. No one ever tells someone, cry for me now. We don't have sadists in the Bible, at least not explicit sadists. So basically, always look at the imperfect second person, and in this case, it would be tivke. Look at the second person imperfect, and then drop the t off of it. So if you got tivke, it's going to make that bet have a dagesh because it's beged kefet. It's the beginning of a word, so it's b. Okay, and that's it becomes a vocal shva, because it's before the beged kefet letter. The vocal shva influences that letter to drop the dagesh, and it goes beche. Okay, sentence translations from Genesis 50. I think we went over a few of these before, but this will give you some heads up for the reading. I want to change the reading schedule because I think that we can do Genesis 50 this week because there is no reading assignment. And we can actually complete it on Tuesday, I believe. And then that will save us 2 chapters because this week is not supposed to have a reading. And then next week and the following week are supposed to both be on Genesis 50, two weeks on the same thing. So we're going to save 2 weeks and we're going to go ahead and start with the book of Ruth. So that way we can get through all of Ruth and all of Jonah, and then I think we'll have time for 2 chapters of the book of Ezra. I hope.
So we are going next Tuesday. We're going to read Genesis 50.
Yes.
Okay. Tuesday,
same bat time, same bat channel. We're going to read Genesis 50, the whole chapter. That's our ambition. It's in the workbook, so they have glosses for strange words. We have to start with Ruth in the workbook, even though I prefer to start with Jonah. The workbook actually explains that they they started with Ruth in their laying out of glosses and stuff. And as it gets further in, they reduce how many words they gloss. So by the time you get to Jonah, there are fewer like explanatory footnotes. So we kind of have to start with Ruth for the workbook to be good and useful for you. All right, so let's look at this. Some of this verb here is something we went over today. Let's look at it and see if we understand what's going on. We don't have to get through all of these translations, but this is basically, I pulled them directly from the Bible. I took off the accents, so we're only looking at the words themselves. And this starts in Genesis 50. I skipped a couple of verses, but we're going to go through what we can get through, and this will help you with your reading for next week. Okay, so Ward, you're my first challenger. Let's go with reading this verse and see what we can make of it. And then Jose will take the second, and so on.
Vayifol Yosef al Panei Aviv.
This consonant right there has dagesh. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe it's too small. Does that help?
Oh, Vayipol
Mm-hmm.
Yosef al Panei Aviv.
Yes.
Vayebech.
That's our fun one. This is a kaf there. It's hard.
So Vayebech.
Yev. That's just a hard K on the end of the word. So it'd be transliterated as V-A-Y-Y-E-B-K, but the B is underlined. Vayevk.
Vayevk. Okay,
Vayevk.
Vayevk. Alav.
Mm-hmm.
Vayishach lo. Vayishach lo.
All right, beautiful. This has 3 verbs, okay? It's got vayipol, it's got vayevk, and it's got vayishak. I want to pull all of those real quick and look at them on Word, and we'll just see what's happening with these vav consecutives. The first one is vayipol, vayipol. Okay? Any idea what this comes from?
Nafal,
it means he fell.
fall.
Yes, it comes from nafal. Okay, so nafal means he fell. It goes through the change like this. It would be normal. It would be yin pol. Okay, yin pol. That is yin, and this dagesh is that's beged kefet after silent shiva. Okay, that's dagesh lene. Yin pol. This is theoretical. This is not how we ever find the word. Yin pol. That nun that's up against a consonant tends to assimilate. So we theoretically have yip pol. Okay, the first. This is we're thinking about theory, right? It's not real. The assimilation causes the nun to change the sound to become like the other one, and then they merge. So yipol means he will fall, and the vav consecutive, of course, is vayipol. That's straightforward, right? Yin pol. That's yiktol. It's exactly the normal form. Okay, the second one was vayevk. Vayevk we already spoke about today. This is also a kal from yivke. Yivke means he will weep. Okay. When you attach the vav consecutive, I'm just going to do it on the same form here. When you attach the vav consecutive, it doubles the letter after it. And then with third hey verbs, you drop the hey. So vayivk, that kaf there needs to become final. Okay, vayivk, and then we actually lengthen the vowel there, vayivk, and we need to put on kaf at the end of a word. We need to put shva. So vayivk, that means and he wept. Okay, and the third one was vayishak. This one is a kind of odd one, because we also have a hifil form of it. We have a hifil vayinashek, and it means the same thing, he kissed. So this is actually from the word nashak, the root, nashak. So when you make the kal imperfect, you've got yin shak, Yinshak, it's a thematic vowel. Okay, so Yinshak, again, that noon assimilates, it's Yishak, and it just becomes doubled, and you have Yishak. Okay, Yishak means he kissed, or he will kiss, and Va Yishak is consecutive, and he kissed. So once you understand these rules, you kind of see what's happening in all the weird forms, right? Want to just get a grasp of the oddities of what happens with Hebrew verbs. Okay, so it says, and Joseph fell on the face of his father, and he wept upon him, and he kissed him. Okay, to me, when I think I told you before that the Joseph story, when I read it in Hebrew the first time, really hit me emotionally. And this is one of those verses that, like, even reading it today, it makes me kind of to well up. Like, it's a very emotional thing for me. So I don't know why the Hebrew affects me that way, but the English doesn't. Okay, so this is after the death of Jacob. I actually changed this word. In the Bible, it says vayivku oto, but I put the object explicit so that you could read it as a sentence without the context.
Oh, okay. So it's my turn. Vayivku Mitzrayim et Yaakov Shiv'im Yom.
Yeah.
Okay. And they wept.
Yep.
And Mitzrayim. And they wept for Jacob. And Egypt wept for Jacob. Shiv'im Yom. 70 or
70, yes.
Day.
70 days, right? Yom is singular, but it's 70. 70. You cried for him for 70 days. You mourned him for 70 days. So Egypt is the subject. Technically, Egypt should be feminine singular, but this is a construction ad sensum, right? Where it looks at the fact that Egypt is actually a nation made up of many people, so it puts it in the plural. Great. Ward, what do we have for number 3?
Vaya avru. Yame. Bekito.
Yeah, bechito would be his mourning. Like, this isn't a word that you should know, but it's related to bacha. Bechito, his mourning. The days of his mourning passed.
Vayidaber Yosef al Bet Faro el Bet Faro Lamur. And there's after the days of mourning passed. Joseph said to the house of Pharaoh, or Joseph spoke to the house of Pharaoh, saying,
yes. Yeah, okay. I want to show really quick what's happening here. I know there's a lot of things that I keep pulling over to show, but it's because, you know, when you're reading and you've got a bunch of new words and whatever, it's kind of good to know what's happening. So the verb is ya'avol. Okay, ya'avol means he will pass, or it will pass. Okay, so if I've got vav consecutive, whoops, what is that? Go back to Hebrew. All right, so if I've got vav consecutive, I've got va ya'avol. This is and it will pass, or he will pass. So we've got something weird in the vav consecutive here, where it's plural, because we have patach, 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 just like that. How does this chataf patach become a full patach? Let's look at that. Let's say that we've got Ya'avo, our normal form, Ya'avo, and we make it they. Normally, we would add u, and we would say vayavo. That's the historical construction. Vayavo. But we know with the third person and with the second, the third person feminine, the third person masculine, we see that this steals the accent to the end, and we have that secondary adjustment, the secondary modification. So that syllable is lost. Ya'avohu becomes ya'avu. But you can't have a vocal shva in front of a silent shva.
Yeah.
So this resolves itself as full patach. So ya'avu means they will pass, and it has full patach like that. So when you make the vav consecutive, you just add your va, and there you have your form. Vayavru. It means and they passed. Right, and back to it. So that's what's going on with the vocalization of this word. Vayavru yemei b'chito v'yadeber Yosef el beit paro lemor. What did he say? This is what he said. Number 4.
Okay. Imna matsati chen be'einekhem.
Why is it plural here, do you think?
In their eyes.
In
majestic.
your eyes.
Majestic.
Actually, because he's standing in front of Pharaoh and his household. It says the house of Pharaoh, right? Okay.
Okay, that one. Davru na.
It's important to have that. Davru.
Dabruna be'aznei.
That's a closed syllable here.
Be'oznei. Be'oznei. Faro lemor. Okay.
Look at that. In the middle of the verse and at the end of the verse with lemor saying.
The same.
Okay, so if
by chance you go out, I go out.
That would be yatsati. This is matsati.
Going out.
It's really funny. I never made that connection before.
Fine.
You know,
fine.
In Latin, venio means I come, and invenio means I find. Venio, invenio. And matsati, yatsati. I never made that connection that they're similar.
Yatsa.
So if I have found
favor, chen, favor in your eyes.
Yep.
Concerning this matter. Concerning this thing.
No, this is imperative. It's a PL imperative.
Say now or
speak.
Speak now. Speak, please. In Ozni. Ozen.
Ozen.
Ozen. I forgot.
You know, Einaim.
Einaim, yeah.
Eyes.
It's a part of the body.
Oznaim.
Ear, yeah. Ears. Okay. In the ears of Pharaoh, saying.
Yeah, and then the next verse is what he says.
Okay.
So if he's asking them to speak into the ears of Pharaoh, then when it says the house of Pharaoh, it doesn't mean necessarily Pharaoh was present because he's speaking to his household. All right. This is a long one. I think I'll take this one if you don't mind. We still have several to go. Avi, my father. Av, Sheli, Avi. Hishbi'ani. We're going to learn that in the next chapter. Hishbi'a, he made swear, and ani is me. He made me swear. Avi hishbi'ani. My father made me swear. Lemor, saying, Hine anochi met. Okay, behold, I'm dying. Bekivri asher karitili be'eretz Canaan shama tikbereni. Okay, in my grave. Kever is grave. Bekivri, in my grave. Asher kariti means I dug for myself. Kariti li. Okay, so in my grave, which I dug for myself, be'eretz Canaan, in the land of Canaan, shama tikbereni. Tikbor, you will bury. Tikbereni, you will bury me. So my father made me swear, saying, behold, I'm dying. In my grave, which I cut for myself, which I dug for myself in the land of Canaan, there shall you bury me. Okay? Ward, number 6.
ואתה אלה נא.
This is the future, the imperfect of Allah. I will go up.
And now I will, oh, Allah, I got it. Allah na, if it pleases you, the akrav, ekbera, et avi, the ashuva.
All of these are like a first person cohortative or subjunctive.
Oh, okay.
Because he's asking for permission.
Karav is to what I will.
Kaval to bury.
Kaval. I will bury
it's
my
also
father.
Here. Yeah.
Bury my father, then I will return.
Yeah, I'll come back. So, and now is ata. Let me go up. Elena. Now is please. So let me go up. Ve'ekbera, and bury my father. Ve'ashuva, and I will return. He's using these cohortatives because he's asking for permission. He's asking for, he's basically saying, please do me this favor, right? If I have found favor in your eyes, please let me go up. All right, number 7. Hoshea.
Okay. Vayomer paro ale ukvor et avicha kaasher hishbiecha. And Pharaoh said, go up.
Go up. This is a call imperative. Ale.
Imperative. Go up.
Because the future is going to be ta'ale. Ta'ale. So you drop the ta and you've got ale.
And bury, another imperative here.
Another imperative. The imperfect would be tikbo. Drop the t and you've got kavo.
And bury your father just as he swore, or
he made
just as you swore. He made
you swear.
Just as he made you swear.
Yeah.
So this the hifil is here to take nishba. Nishba is nifal. I swear. Ani nishbati. I have sworn. And then to make someone else promise, you say hishbati. Hishbati. Hu hishbiya. It's the hifil. So hishbiya otcha. This is otcha is you. So hishbiyecha. Hishbiyecha. He made you swear. This is what we're going to cover in the next chapter. The endings that you put on, like on hishbiecha and hishbiani, those endings that you put on there. Okay, for personals. All right, so these were a few more verses that came from the chapter. Vayal Yosef likbor et aviv. Joseph went up to bury his father. I'm just going to run through them really quickly because we've been at this a long time. I'm just going to run through them. Vayalu ito. Okay, they went up with him. Kol avdei Pharaoh, all of the slaves of Pharaoh, all Pharaoh's slaves. Ziknei veto, the elders of his house. V'chol ziknei eretz Mitzrayim, and all the elders of the land of Egypt. V'chol bet Yosef, ve'achav uvet aviv, okay, and all the house of Joseph and his brothers, and the house of his father's household. Rak tapam v'tzonam uvkaram azvu be'eretz Goshen. So only their infants. Taf is a collective noun meaning infants, and their flock, like their sheep, and their cattle. They left in the land of Goshen. Vaya'alimo gam rechev gam parashim vayhi machane kaved me'od. So there went up with him also chariots and foot soldiers from the army. No, these are horsemen, excuse me. Parash is someone who rides the horse. Parash, cavalryman. And there was, it says, the camp was exceedingly heavy, meaning that there are a lot of people, a lot of things that they're taking. Vayavo'u ad Goren Ha'atad. This is a place name, Goren Ha'atad. They came unto Goren Ha'atad, Asher Be'ever Yarden, which is on the other side of the Jordan River. Ever Yarden, or Ever Nahar, is it's taken from the perspective of Israel. So beyond the Jordan River means over in the Transjordan. Vayisbedu sham misped gadol v'chaved me'od. They mourned there a great mourning and heavy and very heavy. Laspid is hifil. That's where you get, but this one's kal, yispedu. I don't know. Normally it's hifil, I think. Yaspidu, but yispedu, they mourned him there. Okay. Vayas aviv evel shiv'at yamim. So again, mourning, evel, it's a different word for mourning. They did for his father mourning 7 days. So they mourned him for 70 days in Egypt. Actually, as part of the embalming practice, we're told from the chapter that I left those verses out, it says that the embalming practice was a 70-day ritual, and that they finished the 70 days in Egypt, and then they went to bury him in Machpelah in Israel, and they mourned for him there another 7 days. So that's the death of Israel. It's the end. It's going to bring us to the end of the book of Exodus. But you need to read the whole chapter. It's in the textbook. You can also listen to it from Machon Mamre or whatever audio.
Vayipol Yosef.
Yeah, he says it funny, doesn't he? Vayipol Yosef al pnei aviv. Like it's very funny how he talks. Okay, so that's all that I have.
Yeah.
We're in almost 2 hours in, like an hour and 45 minutes. Are there any questions that you might have before we call it end? I think that we covered so much material.
Yeah.
And you guys are doing very well.
I'm sorry for being late. I woke up for forgot.
All right. Any questions about what we're covering now? The rare verb stems and all of that.
No, I'm
Nothing,
looking forward to it.
I think that you guys are moving along really well. I'm very happy.
But I really need to review.
Today's lesson, I think, just like made me go like this. Whew, they've learned it. I feel really good. Very nice. So, like I said, we're going to push through. We're going to read Ruth as our first thing after Tuesday.
I feel like at least I've learned it if I keep practicing it.
Yeah, and so that's what we're going to do while we're reading. I'm going to try to stop as much as I can and go over the verb forms and go over what's happening with the form. So you'll see that all these things that we're mentioning again and again, that they actually do play out in the text.
It was really good to go through this like we did. And I saw all those different verb forms, the imperatives, the cohoratives. So I'll be looking for those and thinking as I read it. So that's good.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. I think that this was a very useful lesson. You guys impressed me, and I hope you have a good day.
You too.
We'll see you next
Take care.
week.
Bye.
Have a good day, sir.
Bye-bye.